In the previous lesson, we looked at the official government crime stats, and now we're going to look at useful and accurate crime stats, or rather more useful and more accurate crime stats. We saw last time that the government stats, the police stats, are wrong for certain reasons that I hope you remember. But there are better ways to collect crime stats, but they're not perfect. No crime stats are. So they've got a British Crime Survey equals the Crime Survey for England and Wales. Talk about that in a moment. A victim study, accurate, reality, representative sample, very important word. Anonymous, no names. Victimless, drugs, fraud, embarrassed, self-report study, lying and prove. Let's crack straight on. So a victim study. It's dead simple. You pick a representative sample of people, maybe 2,000 people, 3,000 people, the right mix, some young, some old, some poor, some rich, and you ask them, how many crimes have you been a victim of or witnessed in the previous year? Not how many crimes have you told the police about, how many crimes have you been a witness of and a victim of? How many times have you seen young lads roaring across the park on a moped? That sort of stuff. It used to be called the British Crime Survey, and it was done every few years. It's been renamed in our country, the Crime Survey for England and Wales. It's now done every year. That tells you something. That tells you this is a much better way to collect stats. The government wants to know this. Here's an example of why. The pale yellow here, that's the recorded crime, what the police know about. This bar here is a victim study amount of crime for the same year, for the same place. You can see it's double. So this is much better at collecting raw numbers on how much crime there is. So advantages, it picks up more crime, particularly the minor crime, the crimes that really bug people, the antisocial behaviour, the shoplifting, the stuff you wouldn't tell the police. It detects those, it tells us about those. It's good. Disadvantages. There's still lots of crimes it won't detect. If a crime has no victim, a victim study won't detect it. A drug deal, buying drugs, selling drugs, no victims here, so no one's going to tell anybody about this. White collar crime committed by the middle class as part of their job, like someone stealing from a bank they work at. No one's going to fill in a form about that. So if there's no victim, a victim study can't detect it. So it's not perfect. It's better, but it's not perfect. You also have a method called a self-report study. You ask people, could you tell me all about the crimes you have committed? You normally do this in prison. People who are serving time in prison, you get their trust. It takes quite a while. It's not easy. You do it anonymously. Hey, look, can you tell me about all the crimes you've committed? Now, the advantage of this, it gives us details and patterns. Who's committing crime, how much crime, and why. So, for example, one of the patterns this produced is 20 years ago, somebody who was a burglar, broke in people's houses, has probably stopped doing that now, but he's still a criminal. They may well be growing weed in an old warehouse. A self-report study picks up those sorts of things. It's the same people. If you have 1 million crimes, we do not have 1 million criminals. We have a few criminals who are what's called prolific. They commit lots of crime. They commit crimes every day. It's sort of their job. And a self-report study picks that up. Disadvantages. Lies and exaggerations. We've all seen documentaries where you have lads looking like this, and they've muffled their voices, and they're showing you their knives, and they're telling you all about how many men they've shanked, and you just don't know if it's true or not. They might have been at home watching EastEnders with their mum, but they'll tell you, I've shanked Bear Man. Now, you just don't know if it's true. That's the problem with this.